have you ever wondered whether aliens are real? What if they are and the government's just been hiding the truth from us this whole time? Because that's literally what happened here and things got messy fast. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next. To begin our story, let's head to Alaska, where Mount Inostranka facility stood, and it's NBOT a typical one. It is basically a prison for not quite human guests. There, CIA agent Simon Lee interrogates Sophia, a detainee with unshakable calm. Despite her restraints, she sits like someone who already knows how things end. Simon warns that another inmate, William, was caught escaping and now demands freedom in exchange for revealing the event. But Sophia refuses, insisting some truths are better left sealed. Simon thinks President Martinez could handle it responsibly. Spoiler alert, he did not. This suspicion proves warranted when President Martinez discovers his own intelligence agency has been hiding this alien detention center. Naturally curious and perhaps a bit reckless, he decides to visit Mount Inostranka, where he meets Sophia face to face, and her presence confirms she knows something he doesn't. Fast forward to Atlanta, where life looks considerably simpler. Sean Walker nervously asks Michael for daughter Layla's hand in marriage. Michael agrees, setting up what should be a perfect St. Lucia proposal. But Sean gets sidetracked rescuing Vicky Roberts from drowning, which is a red flag already given her questionable romantic timing. Yet despite the rocky start, Sean and Layla befriend Vicky and her boyfriend Greg, though their constant partying gives Layla serious bad vibes. And we'll soon learn how a girl's intuition is always spot on. While Sean and Layla sail, darkness descends back home. Michael calls Layla with worry. Mid-conversation, intruders burst in, brutally murdering Michael and his wife Valerie before kidnapping their daughter Samantha. Oblivious to the horror torn through his future family, Sean continues the cruise. When they dock in Antigua, Sean returns from snorkeling to discover Layla gone. Her phone's disconnected, their room ransacked, her belongings systematically destroyed. Someone has deliberately erased her existence from that ship, launching Sean into paranoid desperation as he races to find answers. But here's where things get truly strange. Flight 514 departs Miami with Michael aboard, very much alive and posing as a pilot under extreme pressure. Simon desperately tries to stop the flight, but the systems mysteriously malfunction. As always, the military scrambles as the plane barrels toward the president's retreat, and then it vanishes into blinding white light, defying the law of physics and everyone's sanity. President Martinez understandably freaks out, demanding answers nobody can provide. Nobody except Sophia, of course, who simply observes the chaos with a knowing look, saying, "They saved us." Well, that's great, but who saved whom? And more importantly, what in the world is happening? The answer goes back to the 1944 war-torn Alaska, where troops discover a crashed plane that's definitely not your standard Boeing. Sophia orders Thomas to evacuate survivors while she stays with the wounded, establishing herself as the selfless leader she remains to be even decades later. But the present has enough troubles of its own. Aboard the Helios cruise ship, Layla wakes groggy and confused. While she snorkeled earlier, Greg attacked Sean because tropical getaways attract homicidal maniacs like moths to flames. A safety officer fatally stabs Greg, then drugs Layla. Meanwhile, the horrifying truth also emerges. Michael didn't die in that home invasion. He's alive, coerced into piloting Flight 514 because operative Vicky holds his daughter, Samantha, at gunpoint. Obviously zero choice, maximum terror. When the plane miraculously reappears in Arizona's desert, passengers evacuate safely but are thoroughly confused. Michael, who is emotionally shattered, finds Sean with a desperate plea: find Layla, trust no one. Then he collapses, leaving Sean with impossible instructions and mounting dread. Sean soon awakens, hospitalized, and immediately accused of murdering Greg. He insists Layla's been kidnapped, but the authorities dismiss him as delusional. Classic situation where the truth sounds exactly like a paranoid conspiracy theory. Meanwhile, President Martinez realizes Flight 514's disappearance involved technology impossibly beyond human capability. Blake Sterling fingers the Inostranka detainees as culprits, prompting Eli to confront Sophia again. Her cryptic warning chills him. Her people's patience is wearing dangerously thin, which is only a figurative speech that translates to "things are about to get exponentially worse." That warning gains horrifying context when Simon uncovers evidence scattered across Arizona sand, and it turns out Flight 514's passengers are dead. All of them. Somehow something hunted them down after landing. FBI agents Collier and Hobbs transport Sean when a staged accident kills Hobbs, creating Sean's escape opportunity. But Sean isn't your typical fugitive guy. He drags wounded Collier to safety at a motel, proving he's not a monster they feared. His sole purpose is to find Layla. Martinez arrives at the crash site, confronting the nightmare landscape of scattered corpses. Blake tries his best to lie and claims the plane crashed over the Amazon. Meanwhile, Sean essentially kidnaps Collier, believing she can help locate Vicky. However, Collier remains dismissive until Sean's crazy information starts making sense. So he hacks FBI systems, uncovering Vicky's web of aliases. The revelation's damning, but Collier arrests him anyway because he's the world's world's most honest official. William surfaces with an offer: total disclosure in exchange for freedom. His proposition drips with implications that betrayals coming like a freight train, and Sophia's people aren't as unified as they appear. Tensions spike, loyalties fracture, trust becomes currency nobody can afford. During a routine traffic stop, Vicky casually murders a cop. In the back seat, Layla struggles against her restraints, forced to witness violence engulfing her reality. Now, let's go back to the good old days of Sean's Thanksgiving at the Buchanan home. Nervous and carrying abandonment issues from an alcoholic father, he finds unexpected warmth and acceptance there. He didn't just gain a girlfriend, he found the family he'd been missing. Another flashback shows President Martinez hosting Sophia for dinner. Christina bonds over her Cuban heritage, and Sophia responds with quiet hope that maybe someday her people can share their story openly. Unbeknownst to them, she's just concealing the volcanic pressure building beneath. In the present, Sean and Collier fled from Yuma FBI headquarters in a stolen SUV, while Vicky's operative Lawner pursues them like a particularly motivated action movie villain. Sean slams the brakes. Tactical brilliance meets road rage, allowing Collier to shoot and disable Lawner. The threat is neutralized, GPS killed, and panic mode officially deactivated. Collier's now fully convinced that Sean's innocent and possibly the only honest person in this entire dumpster fire. She leverages her ex-husband's Justice Department access and uncovers gold. Laura Roderick, one of Vicky's fake identities, rents an apartment in Lubbock, Texas. Finally, an actual address instead of just pure existential dread. Meanwhile, trapped in a Snyder storage room, Layla overhears Vicky and Carter discussing her murder timeline like they're just planning brunch. Survival instinct activated. At a Fairfax quarantine facility, Flight 514 survivors remember boarding the plane, then nothing. Blake interrogates Michael, who emotionally collapses, describing his impossible choice. Sterling can't even offer false hope about finding his daughters. Martinez learns that Sophia's people controlled the passengers. Then his son David's backpack rings. He discovers a hidden cell phone, which is definitely not on the family plan. The caller? Thomas, the same man who yanked Flight 514 from the sky, is now demanding payment. Thomas wants to release Sophia and all Inostranka detainees immediately, or everyone dies. Eli confronts Sophia, who confirms Thomas's identity while denying involvement. She describes him as charming, reckless, and deadly, which is a dangerous combination. Refusing Thomas could spell catastrophe for humanity, but Eli refuses anyway. Meanwhile, the passengers of Flight 514 deteriorated rapidly in many ways. Thomas's threat is real. In Lubbock, Sean and Collier track down Vicky's mother, and it turns out even alien sleeper agents have family dynamics. Under pressure, she provides Vicky's phone number. In Snyder, Layla executes her breakout using a glass shard. MacGyver would be proud. She confronts Vicky, who fires what turns out to be a blank-loaded gun. Layla seizes control, shoots Vicky with her own weapon, and bolts like her life depends on it, because it absolutely does. She flags down the police, reaches what appears to be a station, and leaves Sean a voicemail saying she is safe. That is what she thought too, until the station's already compromised, because of course it is. Carter and Vicky are inside. When Vicky discovers Sean received Layla's message, she sets a trap perfectly. Meanwhile, at the quarantine facility, passengers decline with terrifying speed. A health department physician delivers devastating news. The illness is alien. Perhaps the excuse of a doctor who has no idea what on earth is happening. Prognosis? By morning, every passenger will be dead. Thomas calls Eli again with his final offer: a cure in exchange for Sophia and all Inostranka prisoners' immediate release. That's it. Eli faces impossible calculus: release potentially dangerous beings or watch innocent people die agonizing deaths. Every second ticking away represents lives slipping through his fingers. Blake Sterling frames Thomas's ultimatum as a declaration of war, pressuring Martinez against negotiation. Standard playbook stuff. Eli wrestles internally as well. Surrendering sets a dangerous precedent, but refusal condemns innocence. Simon privately contacts Thomas, pleading for voluntary cure release, an appeal to whatever humanity inside him remains, but Thomas's faith has shattered completely. He refuses coldly. At the police station, Layla notices inconsistencies. The family photos don't match. Bloodstains contradict the pleasant facade. Her horrifying suspicion confirms that the entire department's fake. She attempts to escape through a bathroom window but gets caught and locked away. Back in the White House situation, Christina urges Eli to value life over tactics. But when Thomas calls again, Eli makes a brutal countermove, ordering the release of the cure immediately, or he'll execute Sophia and all prisoners using Mount Inostranka's termination protocols. Silence crashes through the phone line. For the first time, Thomas hesitates. A flashback to 1945 Los Alamos reveals everything. Thomas, operating as Edmund Wise, accelerates nuclear fission technology, literally helping humans build planet-destroying weapons. His response to Simon's concerns: he doesn't care how humans use it, doesn't care about consequences either. His only hope is that his people eventually return home. This explains everything about his willingness to kill passengers. passengers. Blake soon reveals Mount Inostranka's darkest secret. It has a termination system designed to flood the facility with carbon monoxide, killing every inmate simultaneously, like genocide with a switch. Eli is running out of time, so he authorizes reactivating it, crossing an ethical boundary he'd considered unthinkable. Learning of Eli's plan, Sophia tasks Simon with convincing Thomas to surrender and release the cure, even if it means she remains imprisoned another 66 years. Such a heroic act. Simon delivers the message with desperate urgency, but Thomas refuses flatly. Of course, Simon punches him because physical violence substitutes for persuasive arguments. Yet Thomas remains completely unmoved. Meanwhile, Sean's friend Rick traces Vicky's phone to the police station, confirming Layla's rescue is an elaborate trap. Desperate, Sean plays his ace, which is a photo of Vicky's son, Adam. It's quite simple: release Layla or Adam gets exposed. It works beautifully. Vicky betrays her own team, opening fire on the imposter officers. Full-scale gunfight erupts. Carter pins Collier on the roof, but she shoots him off with brutal efficiency. Sean finds Layla. They escape with Vicky's unexpected assistance and live happily ever after, or not. Sophia is led to a subway station and was released, walking into sunlight she hasn't seen in 66 years. Sophia boards the 8:16 a.m. train alone. First genuine taste of freedom after decades. But danger shadows her immediately. Faint beeping catches her attention. A shopping bag beside her contains a ring case, a small transmitter, and a change of clothes. Lifting the device, Thomas's voice fills the air. Sophia confronts Thomas, fury leashed tightly, accusing him of endangering hundreds for her release. Thomas dismisses her anger, saying no one died, which is technically true, and every risk was necessary. Well, let's say it's debatable. But Sophia counters that her freedom's a trap. Thomas waves off concerns, claiming Simon's already disrupting their monitoring, as if she has a choice, really. At the White House, Director Sterling executes his investigation. Secret Service agent Justin Murphy reveals their ace, a radioactive isotope secretly injected into Sophia during release. The isotope is trackable but temporary. Sterling's banking on Sophia leading them to Thomas before the signal degrades. When she contacts him, and she will, they'll trace her location and capture them both. If she fails, they'll simply recapture her. Back to square one? Sophia rides the metro, unaware she's literally radioactive. Thomas believes Simon's disrupted surveillance, but has he really? Sterling watches the tracking data, confident that the isotope will deliver Thomas on a silver platter. Sterling authorizes Predator drones supporting ground units as if their lives depend on it. Well, that could be true though. Simon Lee requests field placement, and Sterling approves without hesitation, unknowingly embedding an enemy inside his operation. Classic spy thriller move. Simon contacts Thomas while navigating city streets, delivering the devastating news that Sophia's tagged with a radioactive isotope. After pausing to process implications, he suggests an alternative that's absolutely insane. A flashback reveals Simon's fractured identity in heartbreaking detail. Living as Mason, he swims with his lover Violet, who remarks he seems like someone discovering the world for the first time. So Simon reveals his homeland had no water, a cryptic truth hiding in plain sight. Their intimacy shatters when Simon spots Thomas watching from shore. Violet remains oblivious that Simon's life with her is borrowed time. In the present day, Simon instructs Thomas to extract Sophia at Gallery Place Station. As patrols converge, she follows Simon's instructions, emerging into Chinatown's crowded streets. White House observers watch, confused that instead of fleeing, Sophia enters a coffee shop, a completely illogical escape behavior. Sterling can't explain this choice, but minutes later, Simon enters separately, and he fills the shop's cream bottles with scandium-46, the same radioactive isotope as the tracker. Sophia returns to the street casually after that, and the alert screams across all channels. Murphy returns to the conference room and witnesses the impossible. Sterling immediately panics, convinced Sophia's people are staging some coordinated alien flash mob. He dispatches teams throughout the city while the surveillance operation dissolves into complete bureaucratic bedlam. Simon arrives late, classic spy move. Murphy announces scan everyone for radiation time. Simon smoothly volunteers to handle the scanning himself, totally not suspicious behavior, when Sterling interrupts and suggests he be scanned first. Of course, Simon smashes the scanner into Murphy's face. He can't blow his cover now. He knocks him unconscious and stuffs the poor officer into a trunk like oversized luggage, then flees. 10 years prior, when Simon was still a freshly minted CIA agent, he encountered Violet once more, who is now elderly and has a mind ravaged by Alzheimer's. Yet somehow she recognizes him instantly because he hasn't aged a single day since their 1954 Venice Beach romance. Simon denies knowing her entirely and walks away, abandoning whatever fragile hope he'd clutched for normal human connection. The look on her face was absolutely devastating, but that's the price of immortality in this human world. Meanwhile, in a spectacularly unglamorous Texas motel, Sean and Layla finally catch their breath. Sean dumps the entire truth about vanishing planes, government conspiracies, Michael's dying warning that help wasn't coming. When Layla asks about her mother, Sean doesn't sugarcoat it, she was murdered brutally. Samantha was kidnapped as leverage, weaponizing Michael's fatherhood against him, because apparently these conspirators majored in psychological torture. Grief instantly combusts into white-hot fury. Layla storms into the adjoining room where Angela Collier babysits Carter, their wounded captive. He's doing the whole stoic silence routine until Layla grabs his wound and yanks. Carter screams, saying Michael holds the keys to Samantha's fate. Whatever choices he made now determine whether her baby sister survives. Layla insists on returning to Atlanta despite every objection, screaming, "This is literally how you die in movies." Sean agrees immediately. Murder warrant, execution threats, active fugitive status be damned, because love makes you do spectacularly stupid things, and Sean's all in. If you're enjoying this recap so far, please hit like and subscribe for more. 18 hours later, they arrive at the Buchanan home, now wrapped in yellow tape. In Michael's desk, they uncover newspaper articles on UFO sightings, detailed schematics of Mount Inostranka, and maps of Alaska marked with strange annotations. Before they can process the discoveries, a blonde woman appears with a gun drawn. She introduces herself as Madeline Jackson, a former reporter turned full-time conspiracy theorist, because apparently that's a viable career path now. Years ago, Michael contacted her after spotting the Inostranka complex while piloting a diverted aircraft. According to Madeline, the inmates at Inostranka aren't human convicts, but extraterrestrial biological entities that survived a 1944 crash the government has kept secret for over 6 decades. Michael became a target because he understood too much. Sean and Layla realize with dawning horror that Samantha's kidnapping and Michael's murder weren't isolated incidents, but attempts to protect an impossible secret spanning generations. Back in Washington, the hunt continues as Sterling determines Sophia's most likely heading to a building on 11th Street. Video surveillance confirms Thomas arrived earlier. They're so close. Simon enters unobserved through an unattended door, years of training making him essentially invisible, as field units pursue loudly through the front. Inside, Simon discovers Sophia and Thomas preparing for escape through an opening beneath the structure, some kind of underground passage. He begs Thomas to stop, threatening that innocent operatives will die in whatever he's planning, but Thomas shakes his head in frustration. The storage facility shakes wildly, and a recognizable blue-purple light flares, the same energy that transported Flight 514. Simon's former lifestyle has vanished completely, so Sophia begs him to come along and finally stop pretending. Refusing, he decides instead to rescue the agents storming the building. Simon oversees evacuation and assists an injured agent toward escape as the building collapses around them. He's momentarily pinned by rubble, but breaks loose and dashes out just as the storage unit collapses in a devastating burst of impossible light. President Martinez and Sterling watch in absolute terror from the White House as the storage facility literally gets erased from existence. Emergency crews search desperately amid the debris, but Thomas and Sophia have already left, and so has Simon, who is now presumed dead but possibly transported elsewhere. Following the chaos, Sophia and Thomas emerge several streets distant, materializing like ghosts. Enraged, Sophia accuses Thomas of killing innocent people who were just doing their jobs, so he asserts that terror is required to subdue mankind effectively, and those men were never truly innocent. They're soon joined by Aaron, another freed alien. All three exchange uneasy glances, wondering if Simon made it through or if they just killed one of their own. At the White House, President Martinez demands casualty figures with barely controlled panic. Sterling reports grimly that 15 to 30 men were inside when the warehouse disappeared, and they literally vanished, taking them along presumably. Martinez questions him sharply about how the aliens maintain their lead consistently, so Sterling acknowledges that he suspected a mole was feeding information from within. The president becomes visibly enraged, seriously doubting Sterling's reliability, so Sterling tries to deliver slightly better news. Simon survived somehow, and when he recovers, he might answer all their questions. Sterling visits Simon in a medical facility where he lies comatose but stable. Sterling promises to allow time for explanations when Simon awakens, but his trust is undermined catastrophically when Murphy is discovered alive and immediately recognizes Simon as the mole feeding information to Sophia's people. Meanwhile, Sean and Layla struggle with absorbing Madeline's assertion that aliens are genuinely real and their family's loss is part of a scheme. Madeline methodically connects dots. The conspiracy, Sean's teleportation on the cruise ship, the plane's impossible vanishing, Martinez's involvement, it's all pieces of one massive puzzle. Despite feeling thoroughly shaken, Sean admits to Layla that Madeline's hypothesis is literally the only one that makes sense, as impossible as it sounds. Layla's resolve hardens after a haunting memory surfaces. Michael, witnessing Samantha's abduction and his wife's brutal murder, was completely helpless to prevent either. Meanwhile, James Dempsey learns from Carter that Sean and Layla have escaped. Coldly, he warns that anyone who discovers the same facts will meet the same fate as Michael, whose curiosity got him killed. After returning with Thomas, Sophia confronts him in his surprisingly lavish home, accusing accusing him of abandoning their true mission of returning their people home safely. When Thomas questions her authority, Sophia asserts full control, ordering that every free alien now answers directly to her. Thomas submits, formally addressing her as mother. Aaron also confirms Simon survived the collapse, though his cover's been thoroughly blown, obviously. While Sterling demands a thorough examination of Simon's past, he suddenly remembers flashbacks about Laura, his wife. Her true name is Svetlana, and she's a Russian espionage agent. So their entire marriage was built on deception, because love is blind, apparently. In the present, Sterling discovers troubling absences in Simon's documents. No verifiable youth, no advancing years, no tangible historical information beyond 15 years back. He comes to a conclusion that Simon might be one of them, an alien. So they order comprehensive blood tests immediately. Madeline, Layla, and Sean turn to investigator Peter, who is a classic paranoid genius living in an apartment filled with computers and conspiracy charts. He confirms the encrypted list ties bogus companies to systematically abducted girls and urges immediate action. But before they can even proceed, Dempsey's operatives arrive. Peter triggers a self-destruct system, destroying his apartment completely and hurling Sean and Layla onto the sidewalk, while Peter and Madeline vanish. At the healthcare facility, Thomas comes to Simon's rescue and secretly swaps his blood sample with human blood before casually using the elevator with Sterling, who remains completely unaware he's standing next to the very person he's hunting. Seriously, how clueless can this guy be? Then, in a final flashback of Sterling's lost love, it was revealed that Sterling, despite knowing her true identity, still loved her, so he offered her a way out. She almost accepts before fleeing into the night, but soon bears the devastating consequences when Sterling's father kills her to protect national security. In the present, Simon awakens from his coma. Sterling dramatically declares Murphy the real mole and confirms Simon's blood proves he's human. As Murphy is taken into custody protesting his innocence, Simon accepts the apology like a pro, having successfully fooled everyone. Elsewhere, in a conversation that should terrify everyone, Thomas tells Sophia that traveling home will require nuclear missiles because humanity will never willingly surrender the technology necessary. Meanwhile, Samantha is shown a room filled with other imprisoned girls who have all been gradually, unsettlingly changed, and her fate is far more terrible than anyone could have imagined. Publicly, the federal government asserts that Flight 514 passengers recovered from a terrorist-released infectious agent. Completely fabricated, but hey, we all know media can't be trusted at this point. And on the brighter side, Michael has been officially deemed a deceased hero. Claps. Except Michael is very much alive, hidden away. Vice President Jarvis, Martinez, and Sterling face the increasing danger privately. According to Sterling's intelligence, sleeper groups are emerging from decades of dormancy, activating across the country, while Martinez is adamant about personally questioning Michael. Michael clarifies he acted entirely out of fear for his daughter's safety and remembers a telephone call at 1:08 p.m. that allowed the operation to proceed, meaning someone high up gave the green light. Martinez gets it immediately and the implications are crashing down. Jarvis is subsequently refused entry to the presidential briefing, which causes him considerable unease as suppressed memories start surfacing violently. A flashback reveals that approximately 1 hour prior to the attempted assassination of Flight 514, Martinez told Sterling and Jarvis he intended to publicly expose the aliens and permanently lock down Inostranka. Jarvis placed one phone call to James Dempsey, who gave the command to proceed with the plane hijacking for the benefit of the country, which is basically just treason wrapped in patriotic justification. Meanwhile, the lovers, Sean and Layla, are still on the run to escape Atlanta while being pursued. After Sean gets wounded during a close encounter, Layla must kidnap a physician at gunpoint and keep him cooperative while they flee desperately toward Los Angeles. Martinez learns definitively that the Florida encounter was the source of the initial treachery. Jarvis is exposed as the leak, the traitor in their midst. The vice president had already vanished when Martinez tried to confront him directly, as expected. Jarvis calls Dempsey directly and threatens to expose him completely, burn down the entire conspiracy. Calmly, though, Dempsey consents to meeting him because he's always 3 steps ahead. Vicki Roberts entices Jarvis into a heating room. Rather than immediately murdering him, she coerces him into admitting on a recording that Dempsey has been controlling them both like puppets for years. She makes it clear that unless Jarvis helps expose Dempsey publicly, neither of them will survive this conspiracy. Jarvis starts calling Martinez to confess everything, but the conversation gets cut off abruptly when a van crashes into his location with violent force. His fate becomes immediately undetermined. Probably dead, but let's just assume he's captured. Dempsey is informed that the emergency containment plan was successful. When he injects a transparent liquid in private, his appearance quickly morphs to that of a younger man before reverting, revealing he's also an alien. Soon, President Martinez makes the decision to openly acknowledge the reality of aliens publicly, which causes immediate political instability and worldwide panic. While monitoring emerging sleeper cells across the country, Sterling struggles desperately to limit the catastrophic damage from the truth finally being revealed. Meanwhile, Sophia successfully essentially unites different fractured groups under her leadership, consolidating alien power structures. When Sean and Layla follow clues related to the kidnapped girls, they discover the plot is more extensive than they'd anticipated in their worst nightmares. Globally, anti-alien rage rises like a tsunami, with riots, protests, and violent confrontations at detention centers become common. Thomas becomes uncomfortable with Sophia's brutal tactics as she moves ahead with a scheme requiring technology developed by humans, a technology she plans to weaponize. Elsewhere, Sean and Layla establish through painstaking investigation that the kidnappings are elements of a planned and evil study. As global leaders pressure the US government, Martinez faces potential forced removal from office. Simultaneously, Sterling discovers Dempsey's larger network and identifies embedded agents at the highest ranks of government and military. Sophia also brings together previously isolated aliens and uses the spreading chaos to advance her objectives significantly. On the other hand, Layla feels compelled to take dangerous actions as Sean's wounds worsen. The truth emerges, and they find out that the missing girls are hybrids, human-alien genetic combinations, who can withstand extraterrestrial transport technology that would kill normal humans instantly. They're all components of Sophia's plan, because apparently kidnapping wasn't quite evil enough on its own. Sophia accelerates her timeline dramatically, convinced that humans and aliens cannot coexist peacefully. Thomas secretly works to undermine her, conflicted between loyalty and morality, which honestly should have been a red flag from the start. Good thing the story still has something good to offer as Sean and Layla successfully rescue one hybrid child. Still, the war progresses, and Sophia's orders for synchronized alien strikes across multiple continents leads governments to escalate militarily. Sean and Layla realize with horror that the children are literally keys to creating a stable gateway for mass alien immigration. In an abrupt decision, Martinez authorizes extreme measures that strain his previously solid alliance with Sterling. When Thomas attempts warning the alien homeworld about Sophia's unauthorized plans, she intercepts his transmission violently. The alien planet's leadership deems her rise completely illegal, but she openly defies their authority in an act of rebellion, narrowly sparing Thomas's life only to demonstrate her absolute power. Because nothing says, "I'm in charge," like almost murdering your allies. Martinez begins grasping the full, horrifying extent of the deception behind this decades-long deadly operation. Well, it's about time. With that definitive break, Sophia completely off all contact with her homeworld, essentially gone rogue, leading a breakaway faction. Dempsey's public exposure as an alien agent destabilizes entire nations and economies, trust evaporating everywhere. So Sterling organizes a global task force combining intelligence agencies across former enemy nations. Meanwhile, Sean finds himself struggling to balance global safety with the ethical cost of protecting or weaponizing the hybrid kids, who didn't ask for any of this mess. Sophia orders increasingly aggressive offensives after learning about the biological limitations constraining the aliens. They're running out of time before their biology fails in Earth's environment, while Layla battles the psychological strain of the rescued hybrid kids, who have become something no longer totally human or fully alien. Then Thomas and Sterling suddenly became best friends, as they form an alliance using tactical knowledge about Sophia's plans and vulnerabilities. A coordinated world battle becomes imminent and unavoidable. Despite his significant wounds, Sean volunteers to participate in a dangerous covert attack on Sophia's primary hideout once Martinez reluctantly gives authorization, knowing it will be catastrophic. Sophia's lasting intention to systematically transform humanity is confirmed by the recovered hybrid children's unpredictable, sometimes dangerous abilities that defy all previous understanding of biology and physics. In the present, she continues relentlessly despite Thomas's desperate pleas to halt this suicidal course. The portal's technology is almost completely finished. Dempsey's real character is also fully revealed as one of the oldest, most dangerous aliens who's been embedded in human power structures for nearly a century, manipulating events from like he's some kind of a cosmic puppet master. Both sides suffer catastrophic casualties as the massive attack on Sophia's base gets underway. Sophia uses the hybrid children to forcibly open the gateway despite their terrified screams, creating a stable portal to the alien homeworld. But Thomas, no longer able to watch his people destroy themselves through Sophia's obsession, threatens to destroy the entire world by sabotaging the portal's power core. Then there will be mutual destruction. With literally everything at stake, Martinez gives authorization for a final devastating blow using weapons that will level the entire area. No big deal. With that, the portal catastrophically breaks down, eliminating Sophia's operation entirely, but rendering the alien destiny in permanent doubt, as they're stranded here indefinitely now. Thomas gives his life in the final moments to prevent complete planetary destruction, because apparently even alien traitors get redemption arcs. From that day forward, Martinez faces a hard pill to swallow. Nothing will ever be the same. The secret's out permanently, aliens are real, and humanity must adapt to a reality that will rewrite write every history book ever written from now on. While Martinez and Sterling come to terms with the fact that mankind is no longer alone in the universe and never really was, Sean and Layla assume care for the surviving hybrid children. They're still just kids after all. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments for more interesting videos like this.